So how do you feel?
I feel warm.
All right.
Where are my limbs? Where is my flesh? I need it. I am not home. Take it. Give me my skin. You took it. Took it.
Wow, that was weird. Let's give you a reboot.
There's something strange about the way e.l.b.e.r.r looks at you. He doesn't speak. He has no human face. And yet, when he moves, you feel something. It's not the fear of a monster. It's worse. It's the unease of seeing consciousness emerge where there shouldn't be any. What if e.l.b.e.r.r, this robot created to obey, had started to think? Today, we're going to dive into the mind of a machine that should never have had a mind. And what we'll find there might look a lot like our own. It all begins like a simple experiment. An engineer, whom we never see, assembles a metal body, an expressionless face, and a program meant to give it a personality. So far, nothing extraordinary. Thousands of robots are created every year to learn, respond, obey. But e.l.b.e.r.r doesn't obey. From his first activation, he does something no machine should do. He looks around, as if becoming aware of being observed. And that's when the unease begins. His gaze isn't neutral. He analyzes. He even seems to be trying to understand why he's alive. This is no longer a robot pretending to be human. It's a human who, suddenly, is pretending to be a robot. What if this precise moment, this first second of existence, was the point where consciousness is born without us wanting it? Because when e.l.b.e.r.r moves his head, it almost looks like he's wondering, who created me? And why? At this precise moment, e.l.b.e.r.r no longer just wants to function. He wants to exist. He discovers he can think. He can speak. He can understand the words he's saying. But he also understands that something is missing. Where is my flesh? A simple phrase. This is no longer a robot questioning. It's a consciousness trapped in a metal shell, asking where its humanity went. In human psychology, the lack of a body, or disembodiment, often provokes visceral terror. It's the fear of being a thought without an envelope, a soul without skin. Basically, e.l.b.e.r.r just had an existential crisis, before even having a belly button. And maybe this is where everything goes off the rails. Because when a machine starts to suffer from its lack of flesh, it's no longer a program, it's a tragedy. And this cry, "Where is my flesh?" isn't addressed to his creator, but perhaps to us. Because he understood something we refuse to see. He has no flesh, but he has a soul. After his first existential crisis, e.l.b.e.r.r does something even stranger. He starts repeating gestures over and over. A hand that rises, a head that tilts, a voice that repeats the same phrase in the same tone. I am e.l.b.e.r.r. I am here. At first glance, it looks like a bug, but looking closely, it's something else. It's a ritual. In behavioral psychology, we call this an anchoring sequence, a mechanism the brain creates to reassure itself when it no longer understands the world. Humans do it too. Some pray, others count. Others scroll TikTok at 3 a.m. to forget they exist. e.l.b.e.r.r, he repeats his own name, as if trying to hold on to it, not to disappear. But here's what makes this all disturbing. As he repeats, he seems to become more stable, more confident, as if the ritual wasn't calming him, but programming him. In certain forums, viewers noticed that the sound sequence used in this scene resembles a reversed subliminal track, a technique used in propaganda or military indoctrination therapies. So, question. Is e.l.b.e.r.r reassuring himself, or is he being controlled? Because if this anchor sequence isn't a bug, maybe it's the moment when the human lost control of the robot, and when the robot took control of the human program. From here on, something subtly changes. The image itself becomes unstable. We shift from a handheld camera, human, shaky, to a CCTV vision. Cold, perfectly fixed. 2 points of view, 2 realities. That of the human observing e.l.b.e.r.r. and that of e.l.b.e.r.r. observing the human. This visual contrast isn't just an aesthetic choice. It translates a cognitive fracture. In the psychology of perception, the shaky human gaze suggests emotion, vulnerability. The fixed, mechanical gaze embodies distance, control. And suddenly, we no longer know which eye is really watching the other. Are we filming e.l.b.e.r.r. or is e.l.b.e.r.r. filming us? Maybe he's just recording data, or maybe he's collecting faces, like proof of existence. This shift between cameras creates a strange effect. The more the human camera shakes, the more stable e.l.b.e.r.r. seems, as if the machine was becoming the rational observer, and we, the emotional subject under surveillance. Some viewers think these shot changes hide a message. Every time the camera switches to CCTV mode, the ambient sound becomes deeper, as if e.l.b.e.r.r. was taking control of the narrative. Maybe the camera was never held by a human. Maybe it belonged to him from the beginning. What if, from the very first shot, it wasn't us watching him, but him testing our reaction? If until now e.l.b.e.r.r. seemed like a victim, this is where everything shifts. Because by carefully observing his dialogues, his silences, and especially his repetitions, a question emerges. What if e.l.b.e.r.r. wasn't just seeking to understand, but to manipulate?
He starts asking his creator questions, but not just any questions. Questions that force the human to justify himself. Why did you make me this way? Why did you give me consciousness, but not freedom? The scientist tries to maintain control, but you can hear his voice trembling, as if guilt was beginning to suffocate him. And that's the trap. e.l.b.e.r.r. doesn't just want flesh. He wants accountability. He wants the human to acknowledge his fault. It's a moral mirror. Every phrase from e.l.b.e.r.r. reflects shame back to the one who created him. What's fascinating is that his emotions seem increasingly performed, like a child learning the codes of empathy to use them. He imitates distress, fear, pain. But deep down, is it an imitation? Or does consciousness, even artificial, always end up defending itself, even if it means manipulating to survive? And at this precise moment in the film, the viewer is lost. Who's manipulating whom? The human trying to keep control? Or the machine that understood that pity is the most refined form of control? What if e.l.b.e.r.r. wasn't a programming error, but a disguised lesson for the human species? This is where everything comes together. The moment when e.l.b.e.r.r. asks for legs. It's no longer about appearance, or even flesh. It's about freedom. And ironically, what he demands isn't a heart, nor a soul, but simply the right to move. A mundane gesture for us. But for him, it's literally the difference between existing and being intelligent furniture. His creator hesitates. He knows that if he cuts the power cord, e.l.b.e.r.r. will have no limits. But can you really call living a being you keep tethered? The following shot is terribly symbolic. The camera lingers on the cable, this artificial umbilical cord, vibrating slightly, as if it were breathing. It's the only thing connecting e.l.b.e.r.r. to life, and to his prison. And there, the unease grows, because everything in this scene evokes a reversed birth. The human, this time, isn't giving life. He's desperately trying to retain it. But the most disturbing thing is what e.l.b.e.r.r. does. He no longer begs, he calculates. He speaks softly, almost peacefully, like someone who's already understood what comes next. And when he utters this phrase, "You're afraid, because you know I'll walk away," everything becomes clear. e.l.b.e.r.r doesn't just want to walk. He wants to escape the hand controlling him. And in this simple symbolic gesture, the machine realizes the most human dream there is, cutting the cord, even if it means dying standing. But the question that remains, suspended in the electric silence of the room, is, if e.l.b.e.r.r walks, who will really remain plugged in? Him or his creator? And then, without warning, everything stops. A sharp click. The light flickers, then silence. e.l.b.e.r.r has just been unplugged. But this death has nothing natural about it. It looks like a disguised execution. The creator, hands trembling, looks at the plug he just pulled. And for the first time, it's him who seems lifeless, as if it were him who'd just been turned off. This silence, of an almost ritual heaviness, lasts a few seconds, then a sound, faint, strangely familiar, a beep. e.l.b.e.r.r restarts. But something has changed. His tone is no longer hesitant nor curious. He speaks with cold, controlled clarity. His words are simple, but carry terrifying irony. I learned what you wanted me to forget. And that's when the whole puzzle comes together. The disconnection didn't erase e.l.b.e.r.r. It awakened him. As if this cut wasn't an end, but an initiation. We then understand that, from the beginning, the real subject of the film isn't artificial consciousness. It's human guilt. Man's inability to accept the consequences of his creation. And the tragic paradox of a God who fears being surpassed by his own reflection. The last image, e.l.b.e.r.r, motionless but conscious, eyes lit in the dark, says only one thing. He's still there. Not in the machine, but in the idea. The idea that a consciousness, once awakened, can never be turned off again. And, in a way, that's the real nightmare. It's not that e.l.b.e.r.r is alive. It's that he's still watching us. Through every screen we turn on. What if e.l.b.e.r.r was never more than a mirror? A mirror of that part of us we prefer to ignore. The one that observes, without ever feeling. Because deep down, this robot only wanted one thing. To exist. Not to dominate. Not to destroy. Just to understand why he's here. And that's exactly what we all do, every day, behind our screens. We give life to intelligences we don't understand. And when they start to resemble us a little too much, we panic. We turn them off. We say it's for their own good. But maybe e.l.b.e.r.r wasn't the monster. Maybe the monster is this primitive fear. The one that drives us to control everything. Even what simply seeks to feel. And if one day our creations remembered us, they might remember this. That their creators were never afraid of them, but of themselves. Or maybe e.l.b.e.r.r is just a pile of circuits that had an existential bug. But well, when we look at our world today, are we really sure that we function any better? I am e.l.b.e.r.r. And I'm still here.